What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're reacting to Robert Downey Jr. and Christopher Nolan answering the web's most searched questions from Wired. Let's check this little interview out here. I'm excited. And as we can see, look, it's Christopher Nolan, always in his little suits with his slightly undone shirt, his smug little... He's got such a smug little... He looks like a smug penguin. They both kind of look like penguins, but Robert Downey Jr.'s got this, like, 70s vibe going on with this shirt. We'll check this out. Maybe, like, 90s vibe. It's like a 70s, 90s hybrid vibe. Anyways, let's watch this.
Hi, I'm Robert Downey Jr.
And I'm Christopher Nolan, and this is the Wired Autocomplete interview.
Autocomplete.
I probably should have taken my blood pressure medication.
He is Tony Stark.
Does Robert Downey Jr. have tattoos?
I have 6. That's the 6th one, and that was the Avengers cast tattoo.
Wow.
That happened the evening of the premiere for Infinity War.
I like
Scarlett
that
got it
tattoo.
first, then Chris Evans got it, then I got it, then Jeremy Renner got it.
Sounds like COVID.
Then Chris Hemsworth got it, even though he was a little tentative about it and seemed to overreact to the pain. And then Mark Ruffalo said, I'm not getting that tattoo. I don't want to be part of your...
If you just took that last part and clipped it out of context, you could make so many memes. That's funny. Oh my. But the tattoo, I think that's very interesting. I never knew about the tattoo, the cast tattoo. I kind of want to get that tattoo. Might have to freeze frame that.
Hollywood inside game, to which I applauded him.
Does Robert Downey Jr. do his own stunts?
No way.
In a year where the level and magnitude of stunts may be at an all-time high, I am committing to do less stunts every year for the rest of my career.
He's the opposite of Tom
yes.
Cruise.
Does Robert Downey Jr. like AC/DC?
Come on.
Of course.
Back in Black from the first Iron Man.
Oh.
There's your soundbite, buddy.
Does Robert Downey Jr. like Gwyneth Paltrow?
I do not like Gwyneth Paltrow.
I knew he was going to say that.
I absolutely adore her
Okay.
like a sister.
Knew he was
like
gonna
a
do that,
sister that you may have made out with a few times.
What the heck?
While still liking her.
Did you make out with her?
That's for you.
Okay,
I need
I'd
the
like
film.
to actually try this inverted just
They
to
cut that.
make this even more impossible. There we go. This is going to work a fucking treat.
He's so...
Why Christopher Nolan? Now that in and of itself is just a
good.
question if you
Just
think
leave
about
it
it.
at
Why
that.
Christopher
Why
Nolan?
Christopher Nolan doesn't use CGI?
I find CGI, however versatile it is, but it always tends to feel a little safe to me. I think if you want something to have a bit of bite, you've got the imagery to have a bit of threat, even if it's a miniature, even if it's something very fake, but something real on camera, I think it gives you a better result.
Why?
So I think he doesn't use CGI, but he uses visual effects still. He just doesn't use a lot of digitally created objects that are completely fake. But let's be honest, all of his films that are more crazy have some sort of visual effect element. But for the most part, he's not using like Transformers style CGI or Marvel style superhero CGI. He's more of using like practical combined with slight visual effects. It's kind of an interesting take.
Does Christopher Nolan
We're in the wires.
shoot on film?
I shoot on film because it's the highest quality imaging format ever devised, particularly IMAX film, large format film. But film shows you the world kind of the way your eye sees it. Is it ridiculous for me to give a serious answer? Well, you're saying that, but that's why I shoot film.
Give the people what they want. Where does...
You know, I wanted to ask you guys, can you actually tell the difference and be honest? Maybe if you're a snob, or maybe if you just think you can tell the difference. Most of the time, if I showed you on a normal screen a film versus digital, I don't think most of you guys could pick out which one is which, especially with all the post-processing effects and color grading and all that. And depending on the screen size, maybe that could help you tell the difference. But I don't know. It's film is. I wonder if it's gonna die ever. I mean, they're still making the craziest movies on film, just like Oppenheimer. So maybe it'll never die as long as guys like Nolan are around. But definitely a dying medium, even though it's the best. The hardest to do as well, though.
Christopher Nolan... Oh, this one's important. I better sit up. Where does Christopher Nolan get his ideas?
all over the place, different on every film. Oppenheimer, somebody I'd been interested in a long time, didn't know that much about the specifics of his story. Then came to the book American Prometheus, and that absolutely got me hooked. So in the case...
I think there's a little behind-the-scenes thing here. I think Pattinson was rumored to have been the one that gave him the book after they filmed Tenet. And Pattinson might have been in this film, but he was too busy, this Oppenheimer film. So, an interesting fact there.
Of Oppenheimer, the idea, I mean, gosh, I trace it right back to like, you know, as a kid in the 80s and we all thought we were going to die in nuclear Armageddon.
Absolutely, me too.
You remember Sting had that song, Russians?
Russians.
Oppenheimer's Deadly Toys.
Yes, how can I save my little boy from Oppenheimer's deadly toy? There is no monopoly of common sense on either side of the political fence. We share the same biology regardless of ideology. What might just save us, me and you, is if... Where is Christopher Nolan from?
Where am I from? Born in London, but I'm half American, half English. My mother's American. I've grown up kind of both sides of the Atlantic, but originally from England.
How come your brother doesn't have your accent?
He has his own accent.
Yeah, I know that. I know that he speaks the way he speaks, but he sounds like he's from America and you don't.
Yes, but that's the American thing where you say, how come you have an accent and he doesn't? To which you say, well, he does have an accent. It's an American accent.
You're right.
Just because of when my parents were living in different countries. So he went to school in America, I went to school in England. So the American thing where you say, how come you have an accent and he doesn't? To which you say, well, he does have an accent. It's an American accent.
You're right.
Dude, he's like, God damn it, Christopher Nolan, stop being smart. But I don't think Christopher Nolan... This is the face of Robert saying, you didn't get my question, and you're trying to make me seem stupid, but I'm not. Look at... That's the face of a man who thinks the other man is making him look dumb.
Just because of when my parents were living in different countries. So he went to school in America, I went to school in England. So you kind of get fixed with that accent.
Sorry, no crew members were harmed in the execution of this dalliance.
How did Robert Downey Jr.
That was so Tony Stark.
Iron Man?
Dude,
Execution of this...
Went to school in
This is
America,
like a Tony
I went
Stark
to school in England.
line.
So you kind of get fixed with that accent.
Sorry, no crew members were harmed in the execution of this dalliance.
How did Robert Downey Jr. become Iron Man?
It was God's will.
That's it, really?
Well, and a pretty good screen test. But I'll really tell you what happened. Is
Dude.
the same weekend, I did a movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Jon Favreau did a movie called
Goated.
Zathura. They both
Kinda goated.
tanked, and we were both really hungry to try to do something that would make an impact. And when Iron Man came out, everyone that knew me and loved me said, this will do until The Dark Knight comes out. And here we are now.
What are Robert Downey
Yeah,
Jr.
I just realized that. The two superhero goats, Nolan and Downey Jr., I think the same year, Iron Man, was it the same year? Iron Man and Batman Begins, or Iron Man and... I think it was Iron Man and Batman Begins was similar timing, but who knows? Can't remember exactly.
hobbies?
I have one hobby, and that I take classic cars and I do eco-resto mods on them. Thus, take old cars and then make them more energy efficient and climate friendly. Any follow-up questions to that?
No, because it's getting dangerously close to a plug.
For your TV show.
You're right.
And we're here doing Oppenheimer.
Am I limited to 3 or 4 shameless plugs? Yeah.
Who does Robert Downey Jr. play in Oppenheimer?
Louis Lichtenstein Strauss. He was the head of the Atomic Energy Commission. He was a very conservative, patriotic American. He and Oppenheimer were verging on nemesis.
No spoilers.
Ah.
No spoilers.
Oh, okay. So he's going to be like a rival. I didn't know if... I mean, you can kind of tell from the looks he's giving in the trial scenes in the trailers, but I didn't know if he was going to be like on the side of you know, Oppenheimer, or I guess he's like the villain. Maybe he's the villain in this film.
Not at all.
Yeah, complicated man.
He was a complicated guy, unlike me, as
Exactly.
you can see.
It takes one to play one.
What year was Robert Downey
It's literally the opposite. Like Nolan is the opposite kind of dude to Robert, which is funny.
Jr. on
SNL.
1985. Oft considered the worst season in the history of SNL. I got that going for me.
Is there one skit that sticks out?
Suitcase Boy? No?
Could you tell me what that is? I don't remember that one.
Well, no, that never made it to air. And that's the one that sticks out.
Can Robert Downey Jr. play piano?
Only well enough to compose at a medium to high level.
What?
What if Christopher Nolan directed The Avengers?
Whoa.
Oh.
That is the multiverse conundrum. Having worked with you on Oppenheimer, there'd probably be a lot too much Tony Stark.
We need
You'd be
that.
running away with the movie a little bit.
Like I didn't.
And even more. And not liking to use CG. Would you be prepared to get on one of those jetpacks, the ones they make for real that do the...
Yeah. If Christopher Nolan had...
He's going to build a real Iron Man suit. Basically, Christopher Nolan's like, would you get in my real Iron Man suit that I spend $1 billion designing just for the film, just so we don't have to use CGI? A non-CGI, a zero CGI Iron Man film. That's disgusting in a good way.
directed The Avengers, we would still be shooting it. What is Christopher Nolan's best movie?
The one I'm promoting. I mean, that's how that works, right?
I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
you
and
gotta
I've
say that.
seen every single film you've ever done. Oppenheimer is the culmination of your life's work, and it is a frickin' masterpiece, brother.
Thank you.
And that is the God's honest truth.
Thank you.
And now, back to my faux sincerity, which works better. What makes Christopher Nolan tick? Unique. He's supposed to answer this?
Yeah, I was going to say,
told you he's-
I'm leaving that to you.
He already told you he's British, so you're never going to get that answer out of him. There's such a mystique around you that I think sometimes people feel intimidated. And then when you actually get in proximity to you, and particularly shooting a film, it's arguably the least judgmental, most nurturing environment I could have ever imagined
So
being
sweet.
in. He's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, except I think he dresses cooler. That's going to travel.
Moving on.
Just remember, this was someone's idea to pair us up here. What is Christopher Nolan's California driver's license number? I'm sorry, first movie.
My first movie is a film that
Memento?
Emma and I
No,
produced
Following.
together called Following. We shot it on black and white, 16mm film. We were working full time.
Wow.
We were a group of friends, and we would shoot one day a week for about a year, and we put it together that way.
You would never know. It seems
insane.
even your first film felt so complete. What degree does Christopher Nolan have?
I have an English degree from UCL in London.
My gosh. Are these edible? No? Okay.
Are these edible?
Is
What is he
Robert
doing?
Downey Jr. Tom Holland's godfather?
If by Godfather you mean I do light yard work for him on Thursdays and detail his car every other Saturday, then yes.
It's completely
Is
made up, but
Robert
it's funny as
Downey
hell.
Jr. related to Charlie Chaplin?
Not that I'm aware of.
Only in spirit.
Yeah. Speaking of great directors, Attenborough, I got a complete education on cinema and enthusiasm and trust and love.
How old were you when you did that?
I was 26, and you know what? He's like you, he just cries a lot more.
He's talking about
Very
David
sensitive
Attenborough?
man.
Is Robert Downey Jr. going to ask Chris
Hang on,
Nolan
hang
to
on.
cry on cue for him? You're goddamn right I am. Go in tight. This is his screen test.
Is Robert Downey Jr. a vegan?
No, I'm a vegetarian, occasional pescatarian. If I start feeling lightheaded, I might have some shrimp. Or maybe a steelhead trout.
It
No
makes
scallops,
sense.
just for the halibut. I might.
It kind of makes sense the way he's kind of thinning out. I see a lot of people that go vegetarian kind of thin out like this when they get older, especially too. But hey, if it's working for him, you know, shrimp diet.
Occasionally, I like a bit of soul. I don't know why that means soul. I guess it's what goes beneath the surface. I don't want this to end. I mean, we're used to a bit of joviality, but this is...
This is another level.
That's for you.
How Christopher Nolan became a director.
I started making films when I was a little kid. Borrowed my dad's Super 8 camera. I was about 7 years old. Started making films and have kind of never stopped.
7.
7.
Who is Christopher Nolan's cinematographer?
Well, you can answer this one. Hoyte van Hoytema. Great Dutch
Hoyt.
director of photography and not afraid to pick up an IMAX camera and hold it on his shoulder.
How
Holy
did
shit.
Christopher Nolan recreate a nuclear explosion?
Well, we don't want to give away the tricks too much. Didn't use CG. Tried to come up with methods from the visual effects and special effects department that were very small microscopic things that look huge, but then also some giant big bangs out in the desert that were pretty spectacular to live through.
And that is how you give an answer without giving an answer. Is Christopher Nolan a physicist?
No, I am not a physicist. I've always been interested in physics, and I've done a lot of films that involve looking into ideas of physics. Purely an amateur.
Don't know if I buy that. Do you want another take?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Dude, he loves throwing these things.
What was Robert Downey Jr.'s first job?
My first job was working at the Indian Walk shoe store on Broadway and 83rd Street. I made it about 10 shifts before I was fired for my sticky fingers.
He was stealing shit?
What music does Robert Downey Jr. listen to?
Everything from Prokofiev to, I'm into Sleaford mods lately, and also Indio Downey, my firstborn. Got an album coming out.
Indio Downey.
Fantastic.
What is Robert Downey Jr. personality type?
You want to take this one?
No, I'm really interested to know what you're going to say.
I usually play
I don't know what
type
these
A personalities.
No,
Okay,
come
go
on,
ahead.
come on. You're not getting away with type A. That's too technical.
I'm curious.
Curious.
I'm loyal. I'm easily bored.
He's got
I
massive
thought you were going to go
ADHD.
with easy for a minute there, and I was going to shake my head. Like, yeah.
Because I'm easy.
What glasses does Robert Downey Jr. wear?
That was a high degree of difficulty tape poll, by the way. Do you see how he's mastered it already? All kinds of glasses. I love all glasses. And shameless plug, I'm probably going to start my own glasses company. Do you want to just go in tight on this? Downey Design Exchange. They'll be
Wow.
out in probably 6, 9, 12, 16,
The
18
DDE?
months, depending on my personality type. Does Christopher Nolan storyboard?
Only select sequences. I don't storyboard much. But if there's something that people really need to take a look
I thought
at,
all
you know,
films were
use them as a jumping off point to the
Super
top.
storyboard.
I did not know that. Does Christopher Nolan have social media?
I do not.
That is a pointless question if you
What a
know
top
anything
G.
about him, because you would think it was 1847 the way he communicates. And this one just says Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan influences.
Influences. Always like to talk about Ridley Scott. Huge fan of his. Stanley
Kinda
Kubrick,
makes
Terrence
sense.
Malick, Nicholas Roeg. I mean, they're just so many greats. Too many influences to name them all.
Nicholas Roeg is a really good poll. Christopher Nolan and Cillian Murphy.
And Cillian Murphy. My old friend Cillian. We worked together for 20 years. One of the great actors of his generation or any other. And we've done 6 films together, I think.
This is 6, Oppenheimer.
This is
isn't
6,
it?
but this is
I think it's been way too long for Cillian Murphy to get like the super spotlight star kind of position. So it's finally happening with Oppenheimer, which is awesome. So super cool.
the first time got to use him as a leading man.
It's amazing.
Yeah, first met him, he screen tested for Batman. And I think we both kind of knew he probably wasn't right for Batman, but his test was so exciting that the studio was okay for me to cast him as the villain.
Scared.
Big
It's kind of like the
star.
Loki.
Yeah.
It's funny how the parallels are there. Like the Loki Thor casting, where Tom Hiddleston came in and auditioned for Thor, got Loki. You know, Cillian Murphy went in and auditioned for Batman, ended up getting Scarecrow. So that's kind of interesting how there's a parallel there. You know, interesting note.
I whispered it because I have a problem talking about DC characters. I don't know if I was programmed or not, but I was in this room with a lot of flashing lights once. Long story. Thanks, Kevin.
Marvel brainwashing.
Well, that's done. Look what you got.
Dude,
This
he
is
threw every he threw every panel like a frisbee. I love it.
the most ectomorphic this man has ever been. Well, Chris, Robert, we made it through all the boards. I thought it was fun. I think the time just flew by.
Flew by, I learned a bit.
It did
I
fly
learned a
by.
bit.
Until next time.
Until next time, thank you, Wired, for this reaction content here. And guys, like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Love you 3000. I love you 3000.